Sri Lanka is preparing to move towards $100 billion GDP, and in that process we would exceed $4,000 per capita income as well. In order to ensure that this process takes place without the country moving into a middle income trap, we will be expanding the economy through the 5 hub concept as well as tourism. That would provide new opportunities and a new impetus for the economy to move forward at a rapid pace.
Sri Lanka has been able to maintain single-digit inflation for over a period of 4 years now. This achievement confirms the prudent macroeconomic management by the central bank and the government. Such a low inflation would stabilize interest rates and improve competitiveness of the economy so that the private sector can do their businesses with greater certainty. Therefore, the central bank has now committed to bring down the inflation to around 5% in the medium term.
Banking sector resilience has improved during the past few years. With improved resilience, banking sector has played a major role in mobilizing funds from domestic and foreign resources and channeling such funds for various investment activities in the country. Going forward, we want to expand the catalytic role played by the banking sector. Accordingly, a series of measures would be taken to strengthen the capacity of banking institutions, strengthen stability and efficiency of the banking sector.
Productivity is a key determinant of inflation. Low productivity results in less supplies for any given utilization level of the factors of production and other inputs. This pushes up unit costs and ultimately prices. Sri Lanka has tended to be a high inflation economy for several decades, and low productivity has explained much of this. Sri Lanka's productivity is half that of a country like Thailand, and therefore there's considerable scope for improvement. Agriculture and the public service are examples of low productivity sectors. The challenge is to shift resources from low to higher productivity sectors. This will help to curb inflation.
Sri Lanka's medium-term growth will be driven mainly by the operations of the 5 hubs plus tourism. Commercial hub is one of them. The main value addition for it would come from port and port services, airports and aviation services, real estate developments and utility and financial services. Colombo will be a commercial hub by 2016 with the completion of several international hotel chains, the completion of the housing, condominiums and office complexes. These will give a boost to the Colombo as a commercial hub.
After almost 3 years since the end of this dreaded civil war, Sri Lanka is today in the middle of an unparalleled economic opportunity. As we all embrace an era of stability and growth in the coming years, banks have a clear role to be inclusive in their approach rather than being selective. All of us have a wonderful opportunity in nurturing today's small and medium-term sector to become tomorrow's national champions.
The economy is doing well. This year we expect 6.25% growth, continued single-digit inflation, strengthened balance of payments, and improvement in government finances. But much more can be done. Sustainably higher growth will require more investment, private sector involvement, export promotion, and financial market development. Inflation is still too high and monetary policy should stay tight. The exchange rate should remain market determined and reserves accumulated further. And finally, public sector enterprise losses must be reduced and fiscal revenues boosted.
There is growing international investor confidence in Sri Lanka. The best demonstration is the performance of the government bonds when the first issue of 500 million in 2007 was 3.6 times oversubscribed, whereas the last issue in July 2012, a 10-year $1 billion offering, was 10.6 times oversubscribed. In addition, foreign investments in treasury bills and bonds has reached the limit of 12.5%, and we know there's more interest if that cap was to be raised. Foreign investors are keen to participate in the economic growth of Sri Lanka that comes with the peace dividend, and HSBC is keen to assist them.
Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is one of the main corporations in Sri Lanka, which can be considered as the backbone of the economy. And it provides various services in order to run the economy. And currently, the management of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is working towards to convert this very important organization into a commercially viable organization. That is the main the objective currently in progress, and we hope that will happen.
The electricity supply will reach to 100% electrification level by year 2014 from its present level of 94%. The consumers, including North and East, are now expects a reliable power supply to their installations. Ceylon Electricity Board is fully aware about the impact to the national economy and to the general public due to power interruptions. Our strategy, a reliable power supply to all, will certainly improve the productivity of the productions in the economy.
Sri Lanka still experiences a deficit in the level of investment required and the domestic savings available. This is a common situation in many emerging and developing countries at the initial stages of development. Therefore, it is necessary to attract foreign capital in terms of debt and equity in the short term. In the medium to long term, with per capita income rising and interest rates maintaining above inflation, people would tend to save more so that the gap will be smaller.
Over the past 55 years, the EPF has made a number of initiatives to bring higher benefits and efficient service to members while safeguarding the fund. Through good governance, the fund surpassed 1 trillion rupee mark in 2011. Prudent investment strategies contribute to pay an impressive rate of return. Improved internal systems helps release 70% of EPF refund claims made within 7 days. EPF is now more accessible to members through SMS and the internet services.
Sri Lanka is accelerating towards a $100 billion economy, and the exchange control policies of the country are aligned with that goal. An investor can easily bring in money to Sri Lanka and invest in a plethora of investment opportunities and repatriate the income easily through a securities investment account. A resident in Sri Lanka can provide goods and services to a non-resident like a tourist and earn his income in foreign exchange. A local company that wishes to borrow from overseas need not come to the central bank any longer for approval. They can do so under the external commercial borrowing scheme, which allows them to borrow up to 10 million USD per annum up to 3 years. We expect that the market would be more confident with these new measures.
It is expected that the private sector would be the engine of growth in Sri Lanka's economic development. Of course, one of the challenges the private sector will face in this process would be raising capital. Sri Lanka's capital market is now ready to cater to the requirements of the private sector. So now we expect the private sector to look at the capital market positively and make use of the opportunities available in terms of equity and debt instruments to raise their capital.
Colombo Consumer Price Index is the official price index which uses to measure price changes and also inflation rate. This index base year is 2006 and 2007. CCPI for February 2013 is 170.7 and also inflation rate is 9.8 on year basis, of which 5.8 account for food inflation and 4.0 account for non-food inflations. So this rate of inflation is remain unchanged with the 1 digit for last 48 months.
Economic development of a country is directly related to the investment made by government on people as well as infrastructure. In order to make such investments, various governments since 1948 have raised funds from domestic and foreign sources. Repayment of these debts on time is really important to the country. We have been able to service this debt for the last 65 years perfectly. As a result, Sri Lanka has been able to earn an unblemished debt service record. Investors from various parts of the world are willing to invest in Sri Lanka even at low interest rate now.
I strongly believe Sri Lanka is about to become the emerging nation of Asia. The country has created unique business and favorable economic conditions for both the local and the foreign investors to invest in this country very confidently and to make their investment a success story. It's a win-win situation for both parties, and the government has also identified a number of sector areas where both the investors and the nation can be benefited from their investment.
Foreign banks play an important role in the development journey of Sri Lanka. This is done in two ways. When Sri Lankan companies seek foreign capital, foreign banks act as the link between the international capital markets and Sri Lankan companies. Secondly, by showcasing Sri Lankan investment opportunities and providing financial products to meet the investment needs, foreign banks facilitate foreign investment in Sri Lanka. Because of these reasons, I believe that foreign banks are an important development partner in Sri Lanka.
Central Bank annual report confirms that we have 1.2 million cows in the country and we are milking only 240,000. That gives us 44% self-sufficiency in milk. And since we started Palwatha Dairy 1 year ago, we have started producing butter, milk powder, and from butter we are self-sufficient now. Currently we are self-sufficient. We have about 300 tons excess in the country which we have to export. If we go on producing milk accordingly to what we are doing now, we will be definitely self-sufficient in milk by 2016 and exporting few thousand tons of butter out of the country.
In order to achieve the economic growth targets that the country has set for itself, we will need a substantial amount of new investment. It is estimated that up to 30% of this investment will have to be raised in the capital markets. And with this in mind, the Colombo Stock Exchange has taken a number of initiatives such as enhancing our trading infrastructure as well as attracting new foreign investment and local investment into the market. It is notable that in 2012, we saw a record inflow of foreign funds into the Colombo stock market. The CSC will continue to develop the market and play an important role in the economic development of the country.
Sri Lankan IT BPO industry is now the 5th largest export earner for the country, raising close to $600 million in revenue. Over the last couple of years in successive budgets, we have had incentives for both employees as well as companies, resulting in more people getting into the industry, especially the younger generation. We've seen a significant number of new entrepreneurs starting up IT companies. We have seen our global ranking improve significantly, and our aspiration over the next 2 years is to get to a $1 billion export industry in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka is on the path of doubling its per capita income to $4,000 by 2016. In this process, we expect the rapid expansion of the private sector in the country. So therefore, the central bank with the relevant government agencies initiated a program to improve the doing business environment in the country. So far we have seen a good progress, and the World Bank in their latest report recorded that the Sri Lanka is the second most reformed country in the world. At the same time, our position improved from 105th to 81 position out of the 183 countries in the world. So we will continue this reform process and improve the doing business environment further.
Sri Lanka has achieved the highest growth in the South Asia region. And unemployment has been low except for young people and women, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Moving forward, I see 3 challenges for this country. One is maintaining public finance management and reduce the gap between revenue and expenditure. Number 2 is ensuring that you have a right environment for private sector investment. And number 3, governance, rule of law, and transparency are key ingredients for any country that wants to sustain middle income status.
We have developed maritime infrastructure to convert Sri Lanka to a maritime hub while becoming the center of maritime excellence in the region. Due to this infrastructure development, we have created capacity to handle any ships in the world. In addition to that, by converting Hambantota Mahinda Rajapaksa port to a free zone, we can get a lot of investors targeting Indian subcontinent market. And in addition to that, we have already got about $2 billion investment and we are targeting to get $1 billion revenue and $10 billion investment by 2020.
What we see around us in Sri Lanka today is very rapid development in infrastructures across roads, highways, maritime, aviation, tourism, and even the small industry sector. And the speed and efficacy with which this infrastructure development takes place gives great confidence and encourages foreign as well as local direct investment. And I think what it means is that we are now at the turning point, at the cusp of a phase of accelerated development. And no doubt, in a phase of accelerated development, the inclusive application of technologies such as ICTs, I believe will serve to deliver quantum development in terms of the socio-economic indices of the country.
The small medium enterprises account for almost 70% of our Sri Lanka exports out of Sri Lanka. And if we are to achieve the 20 billion target by year 2020, we have to support the SMEs on technology transfer and market access with organizations like the IDB and the Industrial Development Board. The formation of industrial estates to house SMEs will be key to this overall strategy, and actually being the first industrial zone that the northern province is going to have to house SMEs and drive exports into the global market will be a key driver of Sri Lanka's export strategy with other industrial estates across the country.
We are very optimistic about Sri Lankan economic growth, and realizing $100 billion economy in 2016 and also $4,000 per capita income, I think it's not a difficulty by seeing the trends of this economic growth. And Sri Lanka Telecom Group and telecom sector has a very lot of responsibility to achieve this goal. In that respect, we have almost invested 30 billion rupees last 3 years to deploy world-class telecom infrastructure.
IFC is very positive about the prospects for Sri Lanka. So we're planning to double our investments in the country up to about 200 to 250 million US dollars a year, and also double the amount of advisory programs we do in two priority areas. Number one is to promote inclusive growth so that all Sri Lankans can benefit from the growth in the years ahead. And second, to promote the growth agenda that is as important in the Mahinda Chintana, to improve competitiveness of sectors like agribusiness and tourism, to help Sri Lankan companies integrate more fully into regional and global supply chains.
රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශයේ මඟ පෙන්වීම යටතේ නාගරික සංවර්ධන අධිකාරිය මගින් කොළඹ සංවර්ධනයට අමතරව කුඩා හා මධ්‍ය පරිමාණයේ
Under the directive of the Defence Ministry, the Urban Development Authority has taken steps to develop 25 small and medium-scale towns. Low-income families will be put up in flats which will be constructed by the government, while street hawkers will be put up in establishments with all facilities. Our main objective is to develop Colombo as a commercial city.
කොළඹ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වාණිජ අගනුවර ලෙස විධිපත්ව සංවර්ධනය කිරීම අපේ අධිකාරියේ ප්‍රධාන අරමුණක් වෙනවා.
From a tourism sector point of view, we are very happy with the target set for 2.5 million tourists by the year 2016. This is a huge target, but this is something that we need, some goal for us to go by so that eventually we will reach this number. It's not only the numbers that we are talking, it's a revenue as well that Sri Lanka will get. And tourism is one area that everybody in the country will benefit from tourism prospering, and we are very pleased with the target set, and the industry, I know for sure, is working towards achieving this goal.